Welcome to the People's Sports Podcast. I'm Charlotte Wilder. He's Mark Titus. And Mark, I don't know about you, but I sound like I've been smoking a pack a day for 50 years after the LSU weekend.
I discovered one thing I've discovered on these road trips we're doing is that I think I'm allergic to everywhere that's not my home, basically. I have it worse than I realized. Yeah, I get like sinus infections.
It's awful.
Yeah, it happened in Oklahoma. It happened in Louisiana. So if I sound very nasally, that's what it is. I'm on the other side of it though. Like I'm in the process of like just hacking up mucus today.
Good.
So that'll be great.
Good.
Hopefully, if you guys stick around long enough, maybe I might do it on the show. So, no, it's a good problem to have though, Charlotte. You know, this is a good, like when you think back, a lot of times you wake up, you feel sick, you feel not 100%, you feel hungover, whatever it is, and you think back on how you got here, and you say to yourself, this sucks because like how I got here wasn't even fun. Like I got sick because I went to like my in-laws Thanksgiving or something, and my wife's grandma coughed on me and now I have the flu or whatever. Like that's usually how it goes. And you're like, this is stupid. This is the worst of both worlds. Every so often, you're allergic to a place and you get a sinus infection, but it's all worth it. You know what I mean? You know, you see where I'm going with this, Charlotte, that like at least the good that led to the bad was worth it. So I'm okay with how we got here.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. I think mine is less an allergic nasal situation and more of a screaming at the top of my lungs situation, but and that is also worth it. It's also a great excuse, not to make small talk. If you run into someone on the street and you're just like, my voice,
Vocal rest.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on
I'm on vocal rest,
yeah.
except I'm not, because I'm, again, not important enough to be on vocal rest. But Louisiana, man, I mean, I came away obsessed. We do a report card every week of the stops we went to. I want you lead the report card because I can't remember the order, but tell me your impression of the vibe, because I know that's the one we start with.
Yeah, we start with the vibe check. The vibe of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, of LSU is the one thing I would say that makes this place so awesome. Because I'm going to set the stage by saying this, Charlotte, that I am no stranger to the reputation of night games in Baton Rouge. I'm no stranger to how people view LSU who visit. This is something I've been told my entire life covering college sports, that you got to go to a football game at LSU. You got to experience it. It's crazy. And as I want to do, whenever someone gets excited about something and I have not experienced that something, I'm like, all right, pump the brakes, just calm down. Like how it's a football game. I've been to a million football games. How could it be that much better? How could it be that much different? Ultimately, my assessment of what makes LSU different is that the people are insanely. And they are insane in good and wild way. Like it's the people. It's basically just the people, Charlotte. They are the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They are the most welcoming people I've ever interacted with. Jim, our producer, Jim Cunningham, at one point turned to me as we were at like our fourth tailgate where they said, take whatever you want. They're handing us drinks. They're handing us food. Some guy who's like running the tailgate has the most comfortable chair and he stands up and he points to it and he's like, you guys want to sit down? You can sit down in my chair if you want. And that's just how this like kept happening over and over. And Jim turns to me at one point and is like, these people treat me better than my family and friends. And he wasn't even joking. He wasn't even like... It wasn't even saying for effect. He's like, literally, I get treated better here than my family and friends. So that would be that is what it was. Because ultimately, like Tiger Stadium's cool. The fans are like the atmosphere is obviously awesome. There's a lot that is like quote unquote different. But the one thing that stood out to me is like, oh, this is very, very different. Is the people and the welcoming part is certainly part of it. The other part is like just the cultural lifestyle, like food that they eat, the fact that a guy looks me in the eye and it's like noon and kickoff is still 8 hours away and it's like, you guys work for Fox Sports? And I said yes. And he goes, do you want me to jump through that table? And I was like, I guess. And he's like, I'm gonna jump through the table. And I was like, okay, go ahead, jump through the table. He's like, will you film it if I jump through the table? And I'm like, yes, I promise you we will film it if you jump to the table. And then he just jumps to the table and he's like, do you guys get that? And I was like, yeah, man, all right, have a good day. We walked away. Like the people are wild. They're crazy. We'll talk more about like that part of it. Like the fact that they have a live mascot on campus is nuts. The fact that I went gator hunting or whatever the hell you want to call it. Like it's basically the people. It boils down to that. That's my vibe report, is that the people of Louisiana are unlike anywhere else I've ever been. And it is the one place, I would say this, the two states I've been to that feel like I'm in a different country are Hawaii, for obvious reasons, because it's like all the way out there. It has its own culture and has for thousands of years. And Louisiana. Those are the two spots I've been where I'm like, am I still in America? This is wild.
I agree with you. I think the people were above and beyond it. The last thing you said was exactly what I was going to say. I felt like I was in a different country. I felt like I was in a country where there was not, where people hadn't, I think it's the optimism. Like, people in Louisiana, there's a sense of optimism. Like, when I visited a bunch of the RVs, they have this whole tradition of you can wait on a waiting list for like 35,000 years to get a chance to have a spot where you can park your RV. And I'm talking to this guy, and some of them, I mean, some of the ones I saw, this was probably one of my favorite little features I've gotten to do there yet, because we saw ones from like $500,000 that this guy had spent on his. One guy had tricked out a literal an 18-wheeler. I don't know if you saw that one, Mark. It had a cow skull painted purple on the front with yellow horns, and his sister gave me a tour of it, and she was like, I'm Michelle, I'm the first lady of the RV, and she takes me through, the whole thing is trimmed in alligator skin. Like, it's another country. Like, this is not something
my mind goes to the what was the tweet format where you're like, cable
record scratch,
$60. No, it's like cable $60, electricity $100, RV tailgate for LSU games $600,000.
Yeah.
Somebody help me with the economy of my family starter or whatever.
Right.
It's like, I love the idea, like, these people are just like maxing out all their credit cards to get like the nicest gator skin.
Yeah, no, so I asked them also, like, the reason I brought that up in the first place was because this one guy who was from about 40 minutes south of New Orleans, and he was like, we got absolutely rocked by Hurricane Ida. Mm-hmm. And he said, and he was talking about how a lot of relief effort comes in a month after, but it's really like 2 months after that you need the help. And there are people who were still trying to get into their homes. But the way he talked about it, he was like, but we're all going to come together and we're going to make it all right. And he was like, can I get you any food? Do you need to use my bathroom? Do you need, like, every single thing that he, like, even in the face of the worst possible thing that could happen, which was his friends and neighbors, like, losing their homes, he was still optimistic, talking about how it was going to get better, and then offering me everything he had. And it was I think that the place also mimics, you're talking about this guy jumping through the table. I know that we'll get to your alligator situation. Like, there are people who are truly on another level. And I think the place also mimics that. Like Tiger Stadium is the least tricked out stadium I've ever seen. Like, it's just concrete, steel, not many amenities. Like, the trees have these spooky Spanish moss growing off of them. There's a live tiger on campus. Like, the whole place is just different. In a way that people say, and I never understood why. I knew I wanted to go, but then you go, and the combination of the people and then a place that mirrors that, you come away from it changed. I feel a little bit changed. Yeah.
It is. I'm glad we did it, for sure. Absolutely. It like, the whole time I was there too, I just kept telling myself, like, I was trying to comprehend how I could have both of these thoughts at the same time, which is like, this might be the coolest place I've ever been in my life. Mm-hmm. And if you told me I had to live here for a year, I would like cry uncontrollably. Like, I could not do it. I could not live here. But I love visiting. But I couldn't, like, and I was like, how could that be? How is this possible? Like, I've never been somewhere where that's the case, where I was like, I love every second that I'm here, but also I could never live here. I just simply couldn't do it, because I'm not cut from this cloth. Like, these people are awesome. I love them. I respect them, but they are so different from me that, like, I don't know how I could live here. It was so bizarre. And that was to me, like, the theme of our trip was like the duality of everything all at once. Yeah. I know you talked about that like things were alive and vibrant, but also like spooky and dead.
Yes.
In Louisiana.
Yes. And
I'm out there with these crocodiles. I was down south of New Orleans too, down in the swamps, and out on an airboat. And I mean, to echo your sentiment, the guy that was giving us the tour of the swamps, like that, they took it on the chin with Hurricane Ida too. He pointed out two things to me. Number one, before we even get on the boat, he points to this big white box that's off in the distance. I know I already told you this, but for those who didn't watch our live show, I think I said this on our live show. He points out to this big white box off in the distance, and he goes, because I asked him how did the hurricane affect everything. I knew he was gonna say something, but I didn't know. I was just kind of giving him an open floor to whatever. First thing he says, he points to the big white box. He goes, "We're still looking for my cousin," and I start like squinting off in the distance.
Wait, you
and I'm
didn't say that? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I didn't tell you this?
No.
Oh, he goes.
He said we're still looking for my cousin.
Yeah, we're still looking for my cousin. And I'm looking at this white box, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that his house?" Or I was like, "Holy sh!" And I said, "You're still looking for the cousin in the swamp?" And I know there's gators out there, and like my mind's going wild, like, "Holy shit!" Because this was a month earlier that the hurricane hit, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And he goes, "Yeah, that was his grave, and the water picked up his grave and took his coffin away, and we're still looking for him." And then he said it so matter of fact.
Me.
He said it so matter of fact, and like he wasn't somber. He wasn't like, so it's been tough around. He was just like,
I have chills.
We're still looking for my. I thought I told you. I'm sorry. I thought
No.
I lost track of who
I love
Okay.
that you saved that. I mean,
So he told me that, and then we get on the boat, and he shows us. We go down into the bayou a little bit, which I learned that a bayou is like a waterway that's supposed to be there, and a swamp is like kind of just like marshy area that like the water came in, and like we prefer it not to be there, but it kind of is.
Here,
that was
so
my interpretation. It's like the bayou is like, yeah, we like that. That's like a little pathway we can go through.
Yeah,
I don't. So he's like, you want to go down the bayou and look at all the hurricane damage, and I was like, I mean, and I just kind of froze because it's like. I wanted to, the whole point of being there is we wanted to kind of have fun and shoot some things with gators, but also like I did, like it was crazy to be in this unique situation where the month after a hurricane hits, I'm like down in Louisiana. And so I was like, I just told, I was like, show me whatever you want to show me. I'm here. Yeah. It's you're the pilot. You take us where you want to take us. And he showed us a bridge that the hurricane had destroyed, just knocked it down, and they had built like a military bridge in its place, a temporary military bridge in its place. It's a 1-lane deal, so it's only so if you're coming from either side, like you have to stop and let the other people come, so then you can use it. And then he points to a house and he goes, "You see that blue house right there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I see that. Just a small little house, probably a couple of rooms is all it was." But he goes, "That house is supposed to be 100 yards that way," and he said the water picked it up and just threw it over there. And he's just telling me all this matter of fact, like, I mean, in the same way that you and I would talk about like our friend's love life, like, Jennifer went on one date. I don't think it went that well, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe she'll bounce back. Like he said in that tone, where it was like not that big of a deal. And I was like, oh my God, man, like what? And I'm just gobsmacked. And he's like, no, man, this is what we do. This is hurricanes roll in. They mess us up. It is it's not like it's not sad. It's not like it's not destructive. It's all of those things, but we've been here before and we'll be here again, and we're resilient and we'll bounce back, and that's who we are. And like, that was his attitude the whole time. And I was ready to run through a brick wall for the guy.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
No, that's the exact word that comes to mind when I think of Louisiana, and even the football program really is resilient, because like I took an Uber on the way to the airport on the way back to when I was leaving, and the guy goes, he said, if you give LSU enough time, they'll figure out how to lose a game. And he said, Mississippi State didn't give him enough time last week, but Auburn gave him enough time this week. And it was sort of like it's this weird mix of resilience and optimism and resignation. And even the bar that we were at, Fred's in Tigerland, which is really just a bunch of tents in a field that people party at, which is in and of itself wild. They were like, yeah, Fred's, I think the student runners who came and helped us out, one of them was like, oh yeah, Fred's, like, Tigerland didn't close for Hurricane Ida. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Honestly,
what?
After being at Fred's, I feel like the scene at Fred's is more destructive than the hurricane.
Yeah, Fred's is the hurricane. Every hurricane is named Fred.
Like, my God, that place is wild. Anyway. No, yeah, the other part I was gonna say, speaking of the like duality, as we're out there with the gators too, like an alligator in my brain, like watching an alligator swim through water, I had the duality of like, on the one hand, this is one of the most calm creatures I've ever seen, the way an alligator is just kind of slowly tailing up to our boat. And it looks very just stealth and like whatever. So the idea of being scared, you're watching it, you're like, I shouldn't be scared, because like in my mind, the things that I get scared of are, you're watching a horror movie and it's a jump cut of like, or it's a scared jump, like someone jumps out of the closet with a knife. You're like, ah. So
or
like
it's a monster that that is very clearly like bleeding the entire time.
Yeah. So to see an alligator from 200 yards away slowly swimming towards us, I was like, I guess I don't need to be. I see it coming. I don't need to be scared of it. But then it gets like 20 yards away, and you're like, no, I need to be terrified of this thing because it's so calm because it's like it understands that it is in the driver's seat of this situation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm crapping my pants. And the guy, our tour guide is, he's giving me conflicting information because he's like, you have no reason to be scared of these alligators at all. There are a ton of them around here and we're used to them. And I'm like, so there are a ton of them. And that's why I shouldn't be scared of it. Like what is going on right now? That's how my brain was the whole time I was down there. It was just these conflicting thoughts of like, I love this and I hate this and I'm scared and I'm like the tour guide's demeanor was the most confident you've ever seen. And I'm like, I trust this guy with my life. But then he sticks both his hands down in the water and like is hitting an alligator on the face, taunting it, and then grabs it and kisses the alligator on the mouth. And I'm like, maybe I'm not confident. Like, who the hell is this guy? What is going on? And that was the experience at LSU the entire time, including, as you said, watching the football team when they get up and Max Johnson throws like a perfect pass to get up 7-0 for LSU. And I'm like, is Max Johnson the best quarterback in the country? Yes. And then I keep watching the game and I'm like, no, he's not. He's not even the best quarterback in this game. Bo Nix is.
Like, and but at the same time, somehow going into that game, Max Johnson, Dekeisha, Butte had the most passes and most receptions in the SEC. So you're like, but how are they not ranked?
Yeah,
you're like, nothing makes sense. And I felt that way a little bit with Mike the Tiger, where I was looking at this thing and he came up, I think I said some of this on the live show, so apologies if this is repetitive, but the veterinarian, the doctor who takes care of him and has taken care of the past, I think 3 Mikes, because this is Mike the 7th, and I think this guy David Baker had Mike 5, 6, and now 7, and he's sticking his hands in the cage and sort of patting him the way you would cat. He puts his face right up next to the cat, the tiger's face, and there's this, and Mike was very calm when I was there, but then he would roar, or not roar, he was sort of purring. They call it chuffing, which is, and he would open his mouth and you see.
How does it sound?
Teeth.
Just like for
you want me to do it?
So people understand.
I have the voice to do it right now. It's like
give us an example.
It's like it's like Coach O. The tiger actually sounds like Coach O.
He's doing a Coach O impression.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
And I had this urge. I was like, oh my God, all I want in the world is to pat this animal. And then you're like, this thing could rip me apart in 2 seconds. And that's sort of how Louisiana is. It's like, we will welcome you in, but also please know that at any moment, like, you're weaker than we are, is basically what it is. It's like, come on in. We're happy to have you. We will show you how splendid this is. But something you said on the live show that really resonated with me is that no one feels a need to tell you how great Louisiana is.
Yeah.
And that was also what I picked up, like, on my tour of the stadium, and then just sort of, and Mike the Tiger and being around. Like, I've never been in a place that was so confident and inherently sure of itself that they're like, no, you'll catch on. Yeah, you'll catch on. You'll get it.
That's exactly what it is. I think the example I used was the 2 cities that stand out as being weird, different, and we're cool. We're not like those other cities, are Austin and Portland. That, like, and apologies to all the Texas fans.
And a little bit Brooklyn.
A little bit Brooklyn. We're about to go to Austin, and I love Austin. I've been to Austin many times, and it's a ton of fun. But like, even people that live in Austin will tell you that they love telling everyone how great, like that. Right. There's like a very public campaign to say, like, we're the fun weird city, and then Portland people are like, no, we're the fun weird city.
Yes.
And the point I made to you earlier was that Louisiana is a fun weird place, and I don't feel like whatever propaganda or PR stuff is out there to tell people about how cool Louisiana is, it feels like it comes from people like us who go visit and then spread the word. I don't interact with a lot of LSU people that are like, we have the most, like, why did you not put us #1 on the best experience list or this or that? They're like, all right, cool list. You should come to LSU sometime. We'll show you a good time. Like, they don't get like defensive.
They don't need any outside validation. They're like, we're so sure of ourselves that, like, sure, you can say that, Notre Dame is the best college game day experience. Good, knock yourself out. You ever seen a live tiger on campus?
Charlotte, can I remind you that the game we went to, Auburn LSU in 2021, it could not be more irrelevant on the national level in terms of like sussing out the national college football picture.
No.
These teams are not good football teams.
They're not going to end up in any sort of good situation.
It did not matter. That place was nuts. The tailgating was nuts. The people were nuts. The Auburn fans were nuts. I should say that there were a lot of Auburn fans there that showed up that drove 6 hours, and the Auburn band was like, the whole scene was nuts. And I remember looking around at one point where I was like, these teams suck. Like, can you imagine if like Auburn was ranked 7th and LSU was number 1 or something, or like during the Burrow season when
right.
So it was crazy. It was a good time. That's
I do want to say though that we are definitely a problem when it comes to home teams winning.
Yeah.
Because that was the first loss at home in 22 years. So.
Yeah, for the first loss to Auburn. Yeah.
To Auburn. The first loss to Auburn at home in 22 years. And we were there. Years. It was a 10-game win streak that ended with our attendance. So
and it didn't just end. I should have left it. I didn't want to leave at halftime, but like my allergies again. It sounds so stupid, but like I'm sitting there just like. My sinuses are going nuts, and it got pretty bad. And at halftime, I felt like Auburn was or LSU was kind of in the driver's seat, but Bo Nix was maybe not halftime. It wasn't quite halftime, but it was like somewhere in the second quarter. I was like, I think LSU's got this. I think Auburn's a little erratic. I think Bo Nix is a roller coaster, and it's not really. And then the fourth down, I forget when that happened. The fourth down scramble where Bo Nix,
unreal.
He ran
out of
further.
Control.
He ran more in the backfield on that one play than LSU had rushing yards the entire game, I think. It was insane.
LSU, I think, had 1 rushing yard the entire game.
Did they really?
No, I just made that. But
no,
it really felt like that. It really felt like that.
Oh, let's look it up. Let's take a guess. I honestly have zero idea.
I'm saying 7. I'm saying LSU had 7. And then Auburn scored 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Okay, I'm gonna guess because I genuinely have zero idea how many rushing yards LSU had. But it was something you could just perceive as you're watching the game. You're like, yeah, they do not run the ball, and when they do, they get stuffed immediately.
My guess is 7.
7. Okay, I'm gonna say slightly. I blocked me in at like 11, but I don't think it. Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. LSU Auburn. There we go. Survey says stats. Matchup. There we go. LSU had 33. Wow.
Oh,
they ran all over them.
Well, but I guess that's just an example. Like that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
33 going on 7 is what that game looked like.
What I was gonna say is I wasn't actually going to leave, but I was like, maybe I should leave, maybe. And then Bo Nix has the fourth quarter scramble or the fourth whatever, and I was like, uh-oh. Maybe this is going to be a good game, but even then, I didn't think LSU was going to lose. I was like, surely they're not going to choke it away.
The last quarter was when I realized that I think I might actually, like, I felt the fandom. I was the pain that I felt when LSU lost was more real than Wisconsin lost, and I was like, it's a bummer. Ohio State, I know that was different for you, but for me, I was like, okay, LSU lost, and I was just like, oh God, I wish they had won. Which is like that's how I describe fandom, is when you feel like you wake up the next morning being like, oh, why didn't they win? And I do have some bad news for Texas A&M, which is that not only are we coming to your campus, but you're playing Alabama.
And also, you suck. Your team sucks.
So like,
your
feel
team
like
sucks
this one.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? I think we lean into the fact that I think we maybe our vibe is like maybe you won't lose by as much as you think you're going to.
I think it's the opposite. Honestly, this might be good for Texas A&M because they just lost at home to Mississippi State, and I think there's not a Texas A&M fan on earth that expects to win or even probably cover the spread.
Right.
So I think we're in a good spot as it pertains to like. I'm not worried about the curse, like in terms of like how people view it. The people that listen to our show, watch whatever, and like to laugh on Twitter about how we curse wherever we go. I don't care about that. I think it's funny. It's awesome. It's good for the brand, honestly.
Right.
What I worry about is like actually getting out of these towns alive when
me too.
we roll in.
Same. I don't care about the idea of the curse. I just care I would like people to not run us out of town. Like I still want access to the school.
Yeah, I think that Texas A&M I think they're in a position where they're like, if when we get stopped by Alabama, we're not going to blame you because we know
they're like, come on in.
we suck and Bama doesn't, and we're in trouble, and it doesn't matter whether you come or not. It's inevitable. We gotta rip through the report card though. That was Vibe Check. I think we did a good job of painting the picture for the people. I need to know because this could be a long answer too. What was the best food that you had on the entire trip?
So this is the one area that I completely screwed up, Mark. I did not do a ton of food stuff. You did a food tour of all the tailgates. Because I was going from RV to RV, everyone offered me a ton of food at each one, but the best thing I ate was a little ham sandwich that this I'm dead serious. This old couple has an RV that they've been doing this for 30 years. They were in an RV that was 17 years old. It looks like your grandmother's house, and this she is a great grandson at this point. This woman, she brings out a Tupperware of tiny ham sandwiches on little Martin's potato rolls, or Hawaiian rolls, those things.
Yeah.
And it was a layer of cheese and then a pickle and then a layer of ham and then a pickle and then cheese and mayo. And I don't know whether I was just very hungry or it was just like exactly what I needed at that moment. It was the greatest sandwich I've ever had in my entire life.
Answer.
It was what I needed when I needed it, which is a really disappointing answer for fans of Louisiana food. That's why I'm going to turn this over to you.
No, it's okay because I'm definitely when we go to Jacksonville, which I think is our last stop for Florida, Georgia. Well. No, I feel like there's going to be a point where I come on here and I say the best food I had is like the burrito I got at Chipotle or something.
Well, I was going to say the second best thing I had was a Chick-fil-A sandwich at 11 p.m. when I was fading at the game. That was my dinner. Can I just tell you what I ate from after the tailgates? I started the day. This was my Saturday. I had a bacon, egg, and cheese from Starbucks for breakfast to have some sustenance to get going. Then I had that ham sandwich. Then I had a Jello shot with Michelle at the semi truck. Then I had two pieces of pizza.
Semi? Do we need to do another poll? Semi versus semi?
It's probably a semi.
Are you talking about like a semi truck or
yeah, it's a semi.
You're talking like an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, it's a semi.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was wrong. It's a semi.
No, you're not.
I did. No, now that you say it, I'm pretty sure it's a semi. I had a Jello shot there that came in it looked like a vaccine, actually. It was in a syringe. Then I had two pieces of pizza, and then I had a hot dog and popcorn, and then I had a Chick-fil-A sandwich. And at the end and like a few beers along the way. And at the end of the night, I was like, this wasn't even like, I didn't even like do a weird eating day on like, Boudin balls or alligator.
Yeah.
Like I just royally screwed this up.
Yeah, you could have gone to my hometown in Indiana and just like gotten a slice of Domino's pizza. And
I didn't have any etouffee. I didn't have any pastelaia. I just really blew it. So can you tell me about Louisiana food?
Yeah, I did the opposite. I basically only ate Louisiana food while I was there because I think I kind of have talked about it a little bit before, but I grew up a very picky eater. I've come out of my shell a lot in the last 5 years or so. But it was, but the idea of going to Louisiana really interests me because I'm in a position now, Charlotte. Well, I will try stuff, but I won't necessarily like it. But I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to expand my horizons. I was like, this is a perfect trip for me. I'm going to try everything while I'm there. And I got to say, I was expecting to not like a lot of the food because I thought it'd be too spicy for me. There'd be too much going on. I was willing to try. I tried it all. I liked basically everything. The only thing I didn't really love, I got gator balls at one point, which
so gross. I'm sorry.
For clarification, I asked the guy. I was like, "Are gator balls? Are they gator?
What I think they are
like gator balls?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "We swim out every morning, chop them off, and they grow back within a week." And we
no.
I was like, I love it. That's what. No, they're gator meat that is ground up or shredded or whatever, and then it's like packed in with like rice, and then it's deep fried.
I'm so mad I didn't eat any of that. Yeah. How did I mess this up?
And the gator ball. So I go. You want to talk about like a visual, a euphemism, whatever. So I say that about the gator balls. He's like, he makes that joke, hands me some gator balls. And then he grabs a big white tube of like white sauce and shakes it up and hands it to him. And he's like, "You got to get some ball sauce on your gator balls." And I was like, "This is actually."
You're like,
Yeah, I did, like I'm like we're shooting this video, by the way, of me eating all this stuff, and I'm like, the Brazzers logo is definitely going on this video. Like the way this guy's like shaking.
Yeah.
I was like, this is disgusting. So I don't even know what it was, like some sort of tartar sauce or something. I have no idea. I put it on the gator balls, and I ate it, and I finished. I
How was it? Tell me how it tasted.
Okay, how do I? I ate the gator balls. I did not spit.
Oh my god, dude.
Okay, God damn it.
Okay, so
I
after
didn't love
you
it. I'll just put it that way. I gave it an
didn't love
honest
it.
try, and I didn't love it.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff I loved, but I want to say my favorite food that I had was the boudin balls, which is basically like a gator ball, but like some sort of different meat. And someone explained to me what boudin meat is, which sounds a lot like booty meat.
No, I think it's a bunch of stuff.
It's a bunch of stuff.
Bunch of meat.
But I think it might have been the way they were prepared too, because the guy who was the gator balls was like, it looked like a different. It was more of like a commercial setup, like it was like the tent that they're selling this stuff. And the boudin balls I had were at like a real authentic tailgate, and those were awesome. Those were so good. And I don't know why those aren't a national thing, because I asked what was in it. They're like, it's meat and rice and it's deep fried. And I was like, we have all those things in the Midwest. Why is this not a?
It's sort of like an arancini, like an Italian rice ball but with meat in it, kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So maybe every culture has some. I don't know that
It was.
Yeah, I'm glad that you got out there, because I really blew it on the food front.
The other thing that confused me for a long time was there's a lot of crawfish stuff available, but then it wasn't available in other places. And I'd ask the other places, I'd be like, you got anything crawfish that I could try or whatever? Because we went to one restaurant that was serving crawfish soup, crawfish corn tortilla soup or something like that.
Good
is
Lord.
what it was. And I was like, what the hell? Yes, give me some of that. And then I had like a thing of like rice and beans with fried catfish on top of it, and like I'm eating all this stuff. But so I go to another place and I was like, I see you guys usually have crawfish. Can I get some crawfish? They're like, it's out of season right now. We don't have any crawfish. And then like my brain was broken, because I'm like, do you grow crawfish? Like what do you mean out of season? Like is there like you harvest crawfish?
Sorry, the stalks haven't grown to their appropriate height yet.
Yeah, it's for us to. But they told me that the crawfish are in season in the sense that like there's the mating season, they get bigger or something, and that's like the year you want to, that's the time of year you want to catch them. And also like they don't hibernate, but like as the water gets colder they disappear, and then when it's warmer they like,
it sounds a lot like lobsters in Maine. I'm gonna be honest.
Is there a season for lobsters?
Yeah, there's a season for lobsters. It's August through like October or December, and if you catch them, or like if they're too small, there are federal regulations that you have to throw them back. So it could have something. What it is. And I do feel Louisiana reminded me of Maine in the same sense of like it's kind of a different country. Like you go meet some of these people in Maine down on the water or down in these like very remote areas, and you're like, oh, this is different. And also no one who lives in Maine, everyone's like, actually, please don't come here.
Yeah.
Like you're like, we need you from a tourist economy perspective, but otherwise, like, we'd rather not have you here. And it's awesome, but like, don't. And so it was a similar that reminded me of that.
Anyway, I learned about crawfish being in season, and I found out that the places that were serving crawfish were like bringing it in from out of the area. It was not local crawfish.
Wow.
But there's such an appetite for crawfish that you have to have it year round. And I don't know, crawfish was pretty good. I liked it. I couldn't believe so there you go. That's the report. Boudin balls though, number one. These should be a national thing. Louisiana's holding out on us. You gotta get a
recipe, Mark. You gotta try making them.
Yeah. Release the recipes, Louisiana. Let everyone know about this, please, for the love of God. All right. What's the number one thing that you like the most about LSU that you wish existed in your town or college or both?
I almost don't know that I can answer this one. I was thinking about it. I was like, LSU is so completely its own thing that I don't think you can separate any one thing and bring it back. I love the colors.
That's a great answer. That's honestly a great answer.
I think I might just go at the color scheme is unbelievable. It looks so good. If Colby College had been purple and yellow, I would probably still have a lot more merch than I currently do.
You heard it here, folks. A Boston Celtics fan saying she loves purple and yellow uniforms.
No. Don't take that out of context. Screw the Lakers. What's your answer? Quickly.
Wait, eject.
You tell. Eject.
No, that's a great answer because Jim said that to me at one point too because he turned to me during the game and he's like, dude, this place is sick. Why would you not come here if you're a 5-star recruit? And I was like, yes.
I had the same thought.
I said, yes, I agree. He's like, why? Because then they were playing Auburn, obviously. So he's like, if you're Cam Newton, why would you go to Auburn? I was like, to be fair, we have not been to a game at Auburn, and I'm sure Auburn is also awesome and also has like a lot of stuff that would be sick for a 5-star recruit and all that. And Jim goes, yeah, but like look at those uniforms. Which one of those uniforms are you trying to wear? Look at Auburn's uniforms. Those are boring. I want to wear those.
Yeah.
And he points to LSU's, and I was like, I can't refute that. They got sick uniforms. They got sick logos.
I was also thinking that. I was
stuff.
like, why would you, if you were a 5-star recruit, why would you not go to LSU? And then I was like, because if Nick Saban shows up at your door, you're probably going to go to Alabama.
As it turns out, there are other awesome football programs that also. Right. My number one thing, bar none, is calling Baton Rouge as like a theme song for your school is very unfair for the rest of America because controversial opinion. I think when Colin Baton Rouge comes on at Tiger Stadium, it is cooler than Jump Around at Wisconsin. Like that was.
That's not even a question to me. Are you kidding me?
Colin
Baton Rouge was. I've never felt talking about running through a wall.
Oh my
after
God!
That song.
That was my. That cleared the sinuses. I'm not even kidding. Like I was sitting there, I talking about like having my allergy issues or whatever. That song comes on, I just jumped up and just start belting it out, lose my mind, and then I felt better for like 20 minutes. And then
there you go.
But the fact that like the big difference with Jump Around and calling Baton Rouge is that Jump Around has no ties to Madison, and I never like there's no like obvious reason as to why they do
Unless
it.
they filmed Mrs. Doubtfire there, I don't know why that became the song. But I'm a little. I think I mean, first of all, I would have liked them to win for multiple reasons, but I was also kind of bummed because we could have put together such a great video of you and me singing Call 'em Baton Rouge because we both know all the words, and it would have been a very funny piece of content, but it felt real deflated. Like, we're not going to put that out after a loss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we could put it out on like a Wednesday or something, but like I had hand motions for like. So I changed lanes, you know, whole, you know.
If LSU wins, we go to a karaoke bar that night and just sing Call 'em Baton Rouge nonstop.
Oh,
and by karaoke bar, I mean our hotel rooms.
Right. But look, we're going to LSU at Ole Miss.
Yes.
So if LSU wins at Ole Miss, we can do Call 'em Baton Rouge.
that'll be well received in Oxford, I think, is going around.
You know, we'll do it at the airport as we're on the way out.
I'm definitely jealous of that. That's one thing I wish, like being an Ohio State alum, I wish there was a school there's I guess like Cleveland Rocks is the high, like Hang On Sloopy is the state song of Ohio but it's not really inherently tied to Ohio. I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same. And Call 'em Baton Rouge is an absolute banger. I think
it's probably one of my favorite songs of all time.
It is the perfect length, by the way. That doesn't get talked about enough. It's like a very short song and it's like high energy out of the gate. It's so great. It's a perfect song, and for it to be about the town, that the school, it's like it's unfair. I wish my school had that.
And the fact you said this during the live show that Louisiana buys in, that LSU is all about it. And you asked me, you know, like when Shipping Up to Boston comes on in a Boston setting, is everyone like, ugh, come on? No.
Yeah.
It's the same jacked up fit. Like to this day, if I hear the opening notes of Shipping Up to Boston, I will like punch a wall. I'll run, I'll freak out. And I think that it's the same thing. Call 'em Baton Rouge is so good.
See, Ohio, I'm pretty sure the most famous, like nationally, the most famous song about Ohio is Crosby, Stills and Nash about the Kent State shootings. So it's like
not gonna play that in a stadium.
That song's about Kent State shootings, so it's not exactly one that when it comes on, we're all jumping out of our seat.
That's probably true when it comes to Ohio.
I know. That really is like probably the most famous Ohio song. We got to fix that. I'm gonna write a song. Is it Machine Gun Kelly's from Ohio? He's got to step up and.
Yeah, come on, man, help us out. Give Ohio State
John
an anthem.
Legend's from Ohio too. What the hell are we doing, John?
He is.
Yeah, he's from Ohio. Someone from Ohio's got to step up and fix this. All right, what was the last couple things we had? What's the one thing you could do without? I know you loved LSU, you loved Baton Rouge, but surely there was one thing.
The loss.
Losing.
I could have done with a win. It's pretty simple.
I wish my team never lost.
Yep. Yep. The one thing I could have done with that was a loss. I would have loved
Okay.
to win. What about you?
Mine was I had a handful, but like the weather wasn't awesome. And it feels like the weather's always a little garbage there, which is funny that they say it doesn't rain in Tiger Stadium.
Well, I
'Cause
think
it
that's
also,
the joke. Because I think it
it
always
does.
rains.
Yeah. Because like everyone's like it doesn't rain, but then also you observe how it both doesn't rain and also like we're unfazed by hurricanes because they happen all the time.
I think that's the point.
What's the
I think they're
duality?
like, even if it's raining in Tiger Stadium, it's not raining.
Oh, is
Was
that
the vibe
point?
that I got.
Oh.
I mean, because it certainly rained in Tiger Stadium while we were there. Chance of rain was 90%, and it rained.
So it's a tongue-in-cheek deal.
Yeah, it's like if you believe, it's like Santa Claus for LSU, is that there's never a chance of rain. Was my takeaway. Because I was drenched.
We met one guy at a tailgate that I asked him how long he's been going to the games, and he's like, I don't go to the games. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, because he was set up like right outside the stadium with his RV and everything. He had an RV with himself on it. It was him and his buddy.
I don't know how I missed that one. Damn it.
Or it was a trailer. It was not an RV. It was a trailer. I'm sorry, different. It was like a hitch. It was like tied. It was hitched up to his truck.
Wait, did it have his butt on it in a pool?
His back in a pool, yeah.
Yeah,
his
I
back,
did
yeah, those
see
two
that,
guys.
yeah.
Those two guys. So I asked him, I was like, how long you been on the guys? He goes, we don't really go to the games anymore. And I was like, why not? And he goes, we went to one game many years ago. We were told it doesn't rain in Tiger Stadium, and it rained. And we were like, I guess we're bad luck. So now we just tailgate and we watch all the games from here. And so I said to him, I was like, excuse me. I said, well, I think it's supposed to rain tonight. So like, I guess I might be right there with you. If I go to the one game that it rains in Tiger Stadium. So I'll say the weather or the Gators. I think the blasé attitude about alligators in the South is very alarming, and I could do without that.
There's going to be one walking through the parking lot in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
we're going to see it. We're going to see gators in Jacksonville. This isn't over. They're going to haunt you.
Dude, I'm sure Florida fans just like have them on leashes as pets. And
oh, yeah, I did. Right. Obviously, of course.
All right. Last thing. Funny anecdote. Funny something that happened that you haven't shared. Funny. What's the funniest thing that
a
you
lot of
remember
funny
from your
things
trip?
happened, but when I was going around from RV to RV, there is this might be my favorite story that someone's told me yet on this tour. We're doing all these like high-end RVs, and we're like, where are the weird ones? Like, we need to find some of these, and we see this thing that basically looks like a school bus. And we go over, and there's this big sign that says KBRD, hanging like a white, a vinyl sign hanging off of a tent. And it's this school bus, and this guy named Brad Marino or Martineau, or so the bottom line is that the end of his name was spelled Neaux, like just as you want it to be spelled. And I was like, is this your RV? And he was like, oh, yeah, this is my 1979 Bluebird Wander Lodge. And I was like, oh, my goodness. He was like, this is my mom's. Like, come on in. He brings me in, and he shows me around. It's like original plush velour, paisley velvet seats. He was like, you ever see an 8-track? You want to see how an 8-track switches tracks? And I was like, yes. Like, the sound system was playing cassette tapes. He was like, here's the original microwave and the original convection oven, and they both still work. And I was, oh, my God. So he shows me this incredible bus. I come out, and his friend, meanwhile, has this like witch's cauldron of pastalaia, which is just jambalaya with pasta in it, which is like 34 pounds of pasta. He was like, I got 34 pounds of rotini back here, and I was like, this is incredible. And so Brad walks away for a second, and I asked his friend, I was like, what is the KBRD thing? He was like, oh, that's Brad's fake radio station. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, sorry, what? And he was like, yeah, that's K-Bird. Every day around 4, Brad gets up here and he gets on the mic, and we do a full radio show. And we say that we're the radio station KBRD. And then anyone who comes to our tailgate, they go home and they can't find us on the radio because we ain't real.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, wait. And he was like, yeah, we've had people come back and be like, we couldn't find you on the radio. And he's like, yeah, that's because K-Bird, it's for the Bluebird Wonder Lodge. It's not an actual radio station. And I was just like, this place is perfect.
Oh my! So they're just they're going to that link to troll other.
They
LSU
have a
fans,
sign made for their fake radio station
That's
based
so
on a
good.
1979 RV that has not been updated and somehow still works. They drive that thing to away games.
Do they do the radio show at away games? Or do
I don't know that. I should have asked that. I don't know
Yeah.
that, but they certainly do the radio show.
That's so funny.
And Brad's like, "Yep, thank you. This has been K-Bird." And it's just, I was like,
Well, why don't? No, I almost ruined the idea because my instinct is like, why don't they just like record what they do and just like put it up as a podcast or something? Because that'd
They're
be
like,
hilarious. But then that
nope.
would defeat the purpose.
Yeah,
the
they're
whole
like, no,
purpose
this is
it's not supposed to
performance art.
exist. Yeah, it's performance art. We don't want it to be anywhere. That's
so it
hilarious.
was between that and then Michelle showing me the semi that had been decked out, and this thing had a button you could push for different types of vodka. She was like, push 1 if you want Kettle, push 2 if you want Tito's. And I was like, oh my God. We go into the master bedroom, which is a king size bed. And this is her brother's, this isn't hers. This is her brother's RV. And I was like, how much did this cost? And everyone was telling me, everyone was very upfront. They were like 17,000. One guy was like 500 grand. Michelle goes, oh, yeah, I'm not going to tell you all that. And I was like, okay, give me a ballpark. And she goes, let me just say, if you're a doctor and you're not married and you don't have any kids, you got a lot of disposable income. She was like, it took a year to custom build. And I was like,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The bathroom's nicer than any apartment I've ever lived in. So I could go on and on about the RVs, but you tell me your funniest thing, because those are
my
pretty good.
funniest thing was definitely on the Gator tour. Our guy was named T. Earl. He was 6'9", 400 something pounds, but like didn't look fat per se. Just was just chonk. He was just a thick boy. He was a good old boy. He had a big old long beard but just the goatee part.
Yes.
He looked exactly like I wanted him to look when I was driving to do the Gator tour, and he was the nicest dude. Was willing to do whatever we asked him to for the shots we wanted, or would answer any questions we had for him. He was absolutely awesome, and part of that was he knew that we wanted some good footage of him messing around with gators, or just like the gators doing stuff. So he would put he would mess with the gators and a lot. And these are wild gators. We're out there in the swamp, and they come up, and he's got some marshmallows, and he's feeding them. He's getting them to jump out of the water and all that sort of stuff. So one of them he knows. He also had a sense of like where the bigger ones are, because he kind of like knows where they hang out. Of course he does. Right? You know? So he takes us to the one place, and he's like, we should see a pretty big one over here. He's about 13 feet, 14 feet, something like that.
That's a huge gator.
Huge. That was the other thing, Charlotte. Like, I've seen a lot of alligators in my life, believe it or not, even though I'm not from the South. Like, I've gone to the South a handful of times, and I see alligators on golf courses, whatever.
They're always on golf courses.
I've seen them at zoos. I've seen gators around. They're always like not big. Like, I'm not worried they're going to eat me, because they can't, even if they wanted to. Like, I couldn't fit inside their mouth. You know what I mean?
You're usually bigger than the alligator.
I'm usually bigger than the alligator. When you see a 14-foot gator, you're like, that thing could swallow me alive, and not even think twice about it. Changes things, changes the dynamics. Anyway, he gets this big 14-foot gator, 13-foot, whatever big it was. Comes over, he starts like splash. He's like taunting it a little bit, but he's like feeding it marshmallows. He's kind of like petting it, and then like it comes over and he starts rubbing the top of its head. It's like rubbing the bottom of its chin, like I do with Moses. He's like, good boy, good. He goes and he's kissing it. It starts to swim away. He's like kind of pulling on its tail a little bit, trying to like he's like both messing with it, but also like loving on. It's like very strange, you know. Like if you'd think he was, I don't know how to describe it.
He's teasing it.
You would think he was teasing it, but he's also like, there's like an element to it of like, I'm sure like with the tiger, like as you're dealing with the tiger, you kind of have to like push his face away from your face at times, as you're kind of, because you kind of have to like keep the
defense. It's teasing with defense.
Yeah, but and then he's also feeding. He was interacting with it, but he's also like, I got to keep you at arm. Anyway, this is going on for like 5 minutes or so, and he's getting it to jump out with the marshmallow, all the whatever. And then he turns to us, and and we're just kind of talking, and he looks back at the gator, and he sees the gator like swim in a circle, and then it's like kind of swimming back towards us, and he's like, all right, fellas, I think we're gonna have to get out of here. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I don't think this guy looks too happy. He looks he looks a little upset. You can see it in his eye. He's not really feeling this right now. And like all of us on the crew that are on the boat are like, yeah, no shit, dude, because of you. Like, this isn't our like, he's saying it in a way that is like, he's like, guys, because like we were filming, like as the gator is like swimming, he's like, all right, I think we're gonna have to stop. Like he puts it on us, where he's like, I think we're gonna have to stop here. I think we're done here, guys. I think we're gonna have to move. We're like, we didn't do anything.
It's the camera's fault. It's the camera's fault. You shouldn't have been filming this. Now he's upset.
Yeah. And he's like this out, like something's really got into this gator. He seems to be pretty upset. I was like, maybe you trying to like kiss it, and then
Right, maybe
wrestle
pulling
it,
his tail didn't help. That is
was so
incredible.
funny. But,
Oh my god.
No, he was.
Didn't
he
he
was a
also
great
say
dude.
that he got bit all the time?
Oh yeah, he got bit all the time. We asked him. Like, are you scared? He's like, he said, I'm more scared of my wife than I am of any gator. He said I get scared of some of the snakes that are out here, but definitely not gators, whatever. And then we asked him, like, did they just not bite you? Or he's like, no, they bite you all the time. He's like, I go to the hospital all the time. I'm like, what? He's insane. So anyway, that was the funniest thing that happened to me, and that was Louisiana. So there's our chat. We just did a full show on talking about LSU. That's how great that trip was.
I think that is a really great example of, like, a lot of times we'll run through it and then we'll do some NFL stuff, but this was there was not
trip.
enough. There was no way that we could have captured all of it as it was happening, and we needed to digest it, and it deserved its own hour added on.
Yeah. So there it is. That's a nice little love letter to our time in Louisiana.
We love you, LSU. I'll go back in 2 seconds.
I cannot wait to go back, but again, I have no desire to ever move there, and it's going to take me a long time to figure out how both of those things can be true, but that's where
Meanwhile, I'm like house hunting in Baton Rouge. I've got Zillow up on my computer. I'm like, I could get a lot more in Baton Rouge than I could in New York City.
That's it, I guess. That's the show. One shout out before we go. Hello, Samantha dear. I hope you're doing fine.
Oh.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Also, shout out LSU Tiger TV. The students who work there are absolute pros and saved our butts many times. One other thing we want to touch on, obviously, I'm a Pats fan. It was The Return last night, sponsored by Adele's Hello.
We gotta hit this. We definitely have to hit this. Yeah, go ahead.
So, first of all, I died laughing when the promo was Hello from the Other Side, set to Adele. I was like, whoever at NBC did that, give him a raise. That was brilliant.
Yeah, and they selectively chopped out certain parts of the song where it was...
It was just Hello from the Other Side, and it went back and forth from sideline to sideline. And I was like, that's absolutely brilliant.
But the song... I don't know. Yeah. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
Go on.
I don't know how you feel as a non-Pats fan. As a Pats fan, I was obviously very conflicted heading into this. And it's what we talked about a little bit last week, which was, obviously we have to be extremely grateful to Brady for 6 damn Super Bowls. Like, you can't. And so at the same time, though, I am still a Pats fan. I'm not a Tampa Bay fan. I actually hate Tampa Bay now. And so you're grateful to Brady, but he's coming back and you want to kick his ass. But at the same time, he's playing so well that you're mad at the Patriots for letting him go. And the best possible outcome happened, which is that Belichick brought out every single possible play he could have.
You lost?
Listen, we were always going to lose. There's no way we weren't going to lose. I went into that game. It was a matter of how we lost. And the fact that Belichick brought out such unbelievable plays, you have Jacoby Myers trying to throw touchdowns, basically. The defense kept changing. We were winning at the half, and Mac Jones had more completions for a rookie than any in the past 30 years. We lost on a doink. I was okay with it. For me, it was like, that was the best. We were always going to lose. At least I feel like there's a future with Mac. Like, I didn't walk away wanting to walk slowly into the Atlantic Ocean. Let's put it that way.
It was, as a non-Pats fan, which by definition makes me a Pats hater, because that's how it works. If you don't like the Patriots, you certainly hate them at this point. I think it was a perfect outcome, because the Patriots fans, I got to say, Charlotte, the start of the game, you guys won me. Not you weren't at the game, but the Patriots fan base at the game won me over by booing Tom Brady. I was like, I was worried. I had there was a version of my head where the Bucs on their opening drive march down, score a touchdown, and the place erupts, and they're going nuts, and Tom Brady's like saying, or it's like a big third down, and Tom Brady's like trying to quiet the crowd, and all the crowd gets quiet.
Right.
Like, that's what I didn't think that was gonna happen, but I wasn't sure, and that was weird to me, because I was like, well, how are they gonna play this? And he comes out for the very first snap, and the place boos him, and I was like, yes, thank God, because last year was very weird that how many Patriots fans were trying to pretend like you guys won a Super Bowl because Brady did, and I was like, I don't like this. And last night at the start of the game, you did what I needed you to do, which is boo the other team. That's ultimately. Yes. I was like, okay, all right, you've won me over as a fan base. Oh my God, am I not going to hate the Patriots moving forward? this is weird now because suddenly
Wow,
the Patriots
really?
fans
That
are
was
doing
your
the right
reaction?
thing. Yeah, I was like, wow, like maybe they're not as because it was nauseating last year. Having Patriots fans pretend like every time the Bucs did anything, that was a reflection on how good they, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it was nauseating. I was like, oh, thank God, finally we have the split has happened. It's over. Maybe I don't hate the Patriots anymore. Maybe it's done. Maybe the Empire's
Wow.
dead. And then the game ends. And New England Patriots fans find themselves in last place in the AFC East. They have a coach who is a bitter little whiny baby that cannot even like give Tom Brady more than 1 second of his time at the end of the game. They have a quarterback who cannot throw the ball farther than 5 yards, which is why he set the completions in a row record because he was throwing 2-yard passes to guys against a depleted secondary. The quarterback scores 17 points on a team that's been giving up 30 points a game every single game they played. They're a horrible defense this year. They are basically it's like a practice squad, Charlotte. And now all of a sudden, Patriots fans are saying things like this was the best thing that could have happened.
Yes, it was. No,
What?
listen.
What has
Mark,
happened? So
First of
now
all,
I'm back
I
and
don't
I'm
think
like,
the
this-
defense. Sure. Okay. I will give you this. The Bucs defense. Everybody's out except for Richard Sherman that they signed on Wednesday. Fine, I get it. The Pats.
No, it was what I
It
needed
just felt
because
good. It just
was
felt
what
good.
I
It
needed
felt like
because
so
you-
much. It could have been so much worse, Mark.
No,
it could have
I
been
want
so
you to
much
be
worse.
this way, Charlotte, because this is what in order for there to be a balance in the universe, we need Pats fans to be a little obnoxious, and that is exactly what's happening. You look at the standings, the Pats are in last place, you're 1-3. There are two teams that haven't won a game in the NFL, and then you remove those two teams, and the Patriots are tied for the third worst team in the NFL right now. And Mac Jones did not throw the ball further than 5 yards the entire night. And coming out of the game, I saw a lot of New England people, not you, this isn't an attack on you. A lot of New England people were like, that was kind of a win because we have our quarterback who cannot throw a deep pass, and we have a team that didn't lose as bad as we wanted. And I was like, if this was any other, if the jerseys don't say Patriots and they say Detroit Lions, everyone is clowning that franchise.
Listen, though, here coming off
losing
of,
on a doink and like, you know what I mean?
it is very hard to come off of having 20 years of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
All I can say is like emotionally and mentally trying to work through the process of having had him, not having him, have him come back, break the all-time passing record on the field where you loved him so much, not knowing how to feel about him, and to only lose because for some reason, also I don't know why they didn't go for it. Like at that point, I mean, you there's no way Nick Folk, he was hurt. You put him, what was that, a 55-yard attempt? Like, he almost made it, but it doinked. And then you give Tom Brady four and a half minutes, what was it, maybe?
Yeah.
To come back? Why wouldn't you just go for it and lose that way? And then it turned out that they did end up winning. The Bucs did, it was a field goal that did it. So maybe Belichick is smarter than I am. I don't know. I just felt like there was an element of, sure, maybe Mac Jones isn't Aaron Rodgers yet, but like maybe he could be. He was out there. He was playing with confidence. He was avoiding sacks. It felt good. I liked watching him. I'm gonna get a Mac Jones jersey. And I think for me the biggest relief was that I came away from watching that game being like, thank you, Tom. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. I'm all in on the Pats. I'm all in on Mac Jones.
Be done with Tom. Tom's done.
It
yeah.
assuaged my fear that this whole time I wasn't a Pats fan. I was just a Tom Brady fan. That game, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm a Pats fan. We're back, baby.
Yeah, you won me over with that. Like I think the Patriots fans were good about that. That you're very clearly supporting your team, and Tom can kick rocks, and I appreciate that. That's how you handled it. But get a hold of yourself.
The bar was low.
Get a hold of yourselves. I mean, what are we doing? You found the quarterback of your future, and Bill Belichick's like, no, I can't trust this guy to get 3 yards. So we're going to kick a field goal in the rain with an injured kicker.
He threw. He was throwing. They weren't just running the ball, Mark.
He's like, it's 4th and 3. I don't know if Mac Jones can throw the ball that far. That's
He
way
did.
too far.
Come
for
on. God, I'm going to turn into the most obnoxious Mac Jones defender of all time. I'm like, he graduated with a 4.0 mark. He's really smart.
He's smart. He's really, really smart.
He learned the playbook.
He's really smart. No, it was it was fine. I'm glad as a non-Pats fan. I'm also glad it's over because it was a regular season Week 4 game between like I don't know, that's the whole point. To your point, like having all the emotional part of it is what made this game so important. And for those of us that like aren't emotionally invested, it was like it's kind of a sloppy game in the rain.
You're like,
and
this would be a
it's-
bad Sunday night football game. If
Yeah,
it
this is a
weren't.
bad Sunday night football game that like kind of had a close ending that made it interesting, but it was like not really that good of a football game.
I also will say there was a certain point where even I, as a Patriots fan, who probably wouldn't have the sports media career that I have without Tom Brady and the Patriots, if I'm being completely honest, like that was a very big reason having them to talk about really did a number for my career. Even I, by the end of the first quarter, was like, oh my God, we get it. He used to play here. Like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Although I will say that Belichick went. This is where I'm going to be the obnoxious Pats fan again, and we're going to end this podcast on you hating me again. The hug was short, but he went into the Bucs locker room and he and Tom Brady talked for 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right, bye.
All right. Yeah. Okay.